Live from New Delhi, you're watching DDI Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Philippines accuses China of dangerous maneuvers and obstruction at disputed Scarborough Shoal. Says Chinese Coast Guard damaged one of its boats in South China Sea. G7 energy ministers agree to end use of coal in power generation during the first half of the 2030s. Amid simmering tension, Georgia's parliament set to debate the second reading of a bill on foreign agents. Protesters call it the Russian law. India squad for the T20 World Cup announced. Rishabh Pant returns after a long hiatus. Sanju Samson included. KL Rahul dropped. Energy ministers from the group of 7 wealthy nations agreed on Tuesday to end the use of coal in power generation during the first half of 2030s, according to an official communique. However, in a caveat, the statement included an alternative goal of phasing out coal-fired power plants in a timeline consistent with keeping a limit of 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature rise within reach, in line with countries' net zero pathways. The agreement on coal marks a significant step in the direction indicated last year by the COP28 United Nations Climate Summit to phase out fossil fuels, of which coal is the most polluting. Beijing and Manila have repeatedly clashed in recent months at the submerged reef. In a latest, both sides witnessing standoff and traded accusations over aggressive maneuvers there, and the Philippines recently summoned a Chinese diplomat over the actions. Tensions flare again as China's Coast Guard said on Tuesday it barred a Philippine Coast Guard ship and another vessel from water adjacent to the Scarborough Shoal. And DD India's Laura Westbrook sent us this report from Hong Kong. Have a look.
Really is the latest flare-up in tensions between Manila and Beijing in the South China Sea. We've had a statement by the Philippines Coast Guard spokesman on the social media platform X, and he says that 2 Philippines vessels had been heading to supply fishermen in the Scarborough Shoal. This is a hotly contested area of the South China Sea when it had encountered dangerous maneuvers and obstruction by Chinese Coast Guard vessels, and that the Chinese Coast Guard vessels had fired water cannon against these 2 ships that damaged one of the ships, and he said that that showed how strong the water pressure was, that it had managed to damage the railings and canopy of one of these Philippines ships. He also said that China had erected a 380-meter floating barrier to stop vessels from going into the area, but that the Philippines had managed to continue on with their maritime patrol. And we've just heard from the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman in the regular press briefing. China says that they had managed to expel these 2 Philippine vessels from the area. So that's there are these competing claims of what exactly happens there. And the spokesman also said that China urged the Philippines to stop its provocative acts of infringement and to not challenge China's determination to safeguard its sovereignty. China claims most of the South China Sea, and there are overlapping claims with the Philippines.
Well, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Amman, Jordan on Tuesday as part of a broader trip to the West Asia that is aimed at discussions with Arab partners over the ongoing conflict. Blinken's visits come after U.S. President Joe Biden demanded to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza earlier this month. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden has urged leaders from Qatar and Egypt to apply all efforts to secure the release of hostages held by Hamas. Joe Biden held a separate phone call with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. He also discussed the dangers of a military escalation in Rafah. Besides, the two presidents also stressed the necessity of working to prevent expansion of the conflict and reaffirmed the importance of a two-state solution as the means to achieve security and stability in the region. Well, amid talks on a ceasefire in Gaza progressing, French Foreign Minister Stéphane Séjourné met with his Israeli counterpart Israel Katz on Tuesday in Jerusalem. Séjourné earlier visited Lebanon and Saudi Arabia on Monday, where he met with ministers from Arab and Western countries. Houthi rebels attacked two Israel-linked ships and two American destroyers in the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. Houthi military spokesperson said that MSC Orion and MV Cyclades were targeted with several drones and missiles.
With a number of drones. The military operations achieved their goals successfully.
And Georgia faces more protests this week as lawmakers resume debate on a foreign agents law, which was introduced to Parliament earlier this month. Thousands of people protested against the bill for days when it passed its first hurdle in Parliament in mid-April. Since then, students have been protesting on a nightly basis, facing off against riot police. The EU has repeatedly said the bill is a threat. Britain and the United States have also opposed the bill, while Hungary and Russia have defended it. The bill would force organizations receiving more than 20% of their funding from abroad to register as foreign agents. A parliamentary committee approved the bill's second reading on Monday in a tense hearing from which all opposition members were expelled. Parliament is expected to approve the second of three readings on Tuesday amid opposition protests. Meal delivery companies Deliveroo, Just Eat and Uber Eats are making extra security checks on their British riders to step up efforts to cut illegal working. UK's illegal migration minister Michael Tomlinson said that illegal working had put customers at risk, drove down wages and defrauded the taxpayer after he met the three companies on Monday. Also, 42% of riders stopped by an enforcement team in April 2023 were found to be working illegally. Deliveroo is the first to roll out new substitute registration feature, including right-to-work checks. UK has launched physical checks on fresh food products imported from the European Union. This comes 3 years after the country left the bloc. Business groups are now warning the checks will push up costs and could lead to some items disappearing from British supermarkets. DD India's Julia Chapman reports from London. Have a look.
For decades, fresh food coming to the UK from the European Union could be imported at minimal hassle. As part of the bloc, the UK had the same sanitary standards as other members. But ever since it left the EU, a change has been looming.
My Lords, the controls set out in our new Border Target Operating Model, BTOM, represent a comprehensive assessment of the biosecurity and public health risks presented by imports, together with the risk of relevant pests and diseases. They allow us to assess our confidence in the exporting country's production standards and health controls. The BTOM aims to strike the right balance between allowing trade to flow and to protecting our domestic producers from threats such as African swine fever.
From now on, meat, dairy, fruit, vegetables and plants coming from the EU will face possible inspection. Anything that poses a medium risk to biosecurity will be checked visually and with temperature readings. British businesses importing from the EU will have to pay $180 a consignment. It's a significant cost as the UK imports 45% of its food. The government says in practice fewer than 1 in 100 shipments will be physically inspected. And it defends the cost to businesses, arguing that an outbreak of disease would be far more expensive. But industry groups say the changes will bring unintended consequences. There are warnings that the new rules could lead to shortages. Some wholesalers are turning away from the UK market because of the added bureaucracy and cost. And a rainy spring has led farmers to expect poor harvests this year, making the country even more reliant on imports.
Our concern is that this will disproportionately impact smaller operators, and we could see them withdraw from the market. That could subsequently reduce the choice that we have on shelves, and inevitably these additional costs have to be picked up somewhere in the supply chain. Many of our members are already operating under very tight margins.
The higher import prices will ultimately be passed on to the consumer. After the rate of inflation had been falling, the UK could see costs rise once again. Julia Chapman in London, reporting for DD India.
And Italy on Tuesday will unveil an economic package that will be focused on temporary tax breaks to firms. The package will allow hiring of staff on open-ended contracts and a cash bonus of up to $107 for low earners. Tuesday's package is also expected to raise the tax rate on productivity bonuses of more than $3,200 to 10% from the current 5% effective January 2025. The measures are being proposed about a month before European elections. Well, Sri Lanka's cabinet has approved the plan to renovate the Kankesanturai port in the northern part of the island. The project will be executed with Indian financial assistance as a grant project. Recognizing the project's significance, India has pledged to bear the cost. The decision not only addresses the port's infrastructural needs, but also underscores the strength of bilateral cooperation between the two countries. The 16-acre port is located 104 kilometers from Karaikal Port in Puducherry, India. And let's have a look at what is happening around the world. Kenya's President William Ruto held a special cabinet meeting on Tuesday to assess the flood response situation after the heavy flooding caused widespread damage to the African nation. According to the Interior Ministry of Kenya, at least 91 people have been reported missing, for whom search operations are being conducted. The flash floods and mudslide also killed more than 40 people. The 10th edition of World Water Forum will be held in Bali from May 18 to 25th with the theme Water for Shared Prosperity. Indonesia has sent invitations to 193 member states of UNESCO. So far, more than 100 countries have confirmed their participation. Along with that, many international and regional organizations who deal in water issues in the region have been invited. Microsoft's chief Satya Nadella informed that Microsoft plans to invest $1.7 billion over the next 4 years in Indonesia. The investment will focus on expanding cloud services and artificial intelligence and building data centers. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Campaigning intensifies in India for the third and fourth phase polls of India's parliamentary elections. Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi takes over as India's new Navy chief. Delicious and diverse cuisines at 11th edition of Dubai Food Festival attract food enthusiasts from around the world.
In the world's largest election,
we help you feel the pulse of the nation.
I am Sakal Bhatt.
I am Shubhendu Ghosh.
This election season, join us on a journey of India.
We are in Assam. This is the tea city of India.
From down south, Tamil Nadu.
Discover the colors of democracy.
Gateway to northeast of India.
Coastal state of Kerala. Watch Poll Pulse on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and let's get you the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Ahead of the third phase of Indian general elections, campaigning continues to gain steam on Tuesday. 93 seats, including 11 seats in Maharashtra, are going to polls on May 7th in the third phase. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a public gathering in Maharashtra's Madha and Osmanabad. During his rally in Madha, PM said that with the blessings of all our voters, we have been able to provide free food to 80 crore people.
आज 80 करोड़ देशवासियों को उनकी थाली भरी हुई रहती है, उनका चूल्हा जलता रहता है, उनका बच्चा भूखा नहीं सोता है। 80 करोड़ लोगों को मुफ्त खाना मिलता है। इसका पुण्य किसको मिलता है? आपको मिलता है। आपने मोदी को वोट देकर के ये पुण्य कार्य करने के लिए भेजा है।
Later, Prime Minister also addressed rallies in Dharashiv and Latur in Maharashtra. After that, Prime Minister headed to Telangana, where he addresses public meeting in Zahirabad. In some other election updates, Union Home Minister Amit Shah addressed a public meeting in Katwa, West Bengal. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also addressed a public meeting in Madhya Pradesh's Khandwa and Barwani. BJP candidate from New Delhi Lok Sabha constituency, Basuri Swaraj, along with Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri, filed her nomination. Odisha Chief Minister and BJD candidate from Hinjali, Naveen Patnaik, also filed his nomination papers. He is contesting the assembly elections from Kanta Banji and Hinjali assembly seats. While opposition Congress leader Rahul Gandhi addressed a public meeting in MP's Bhind. 8 seats in the state are going to polls in the third phase. During the rally, he said that this election is the fight of ideologies.
ये चुनाव मामूली चुनाव नहीं है। इस चुनाव में दो विचारधाराओं की टक्कर है। एक तरफ कांग्रेस पार्टी, इंडिया गठबंधन, जो संविधान को बचाने की कोशिश कर रहा है।
And Goa too goes to polls on May 7th as the region gears up for elections. Voters in Goa are torn between acknowledging development efforts and the pressing need for environmental conservation. Jessica Taneza has the details.
Located on the Zwari River at Kottalam village, this cable-stayed bridge is one of the most complex bridges in the world that can withstand a load of 1,000 tons. Waterways below it is an important route for Marmagao Port Trust and is considered a crucial link between North and South Goa.
South Goa has become an important focus not just for the Congress party but also for the BJP. In the last 3 months, the Prime Minister has had 2 public rallies in South Goa. Voter concerns vary from infrastructure development to maintaining the ecology and also making sure that the less the environment is harmed, the better it is for the people of Goa.
While the electorate faces a daunting task in selecting representatives who can effectively address their concerns, here in Madgaon, some voters are content with the development work and believe the government has been able to find a swift and equitable resolution.
There are a few schemes in terms of for rural individuals, also households that they've given. At the same time, electricity, there are a few things like, the reduction of the, electricity bills, which I've seen in past 10 years, which has been given to the, to the voters of South Goa.
Others say the elected representatives have to prioritize environmental conservation and remain committed to implementing sustainable solutions to combat pollution and other issues.
Major concern being a Goan citizen for last 26 years is the tourism. I mean, we go to the beaches very often, but we don't see clean beaches, and there's dirt everywhere, parking facilities are not good, no security on the beach.
BJP's first woman candidate in Goa poll history, entrepreneur and educationist Pallavi Dempo, is confident of securing a win and hopes to resolve these issues effectively.
I would like to work on, especially here in South Goa, would be in the areas of education, women empowerment, skilling, agriculture, tourism, right? Because that's going to be my key areas that I would like to work on.
The Congress is focusing on the failures in tackling rising unemployment, inflation, and dwindling land resources.
Our lands are being sold. It's not that we despise anybody coming and staying here. But if this process goes on, the fear is in a few more years, a decade or 2 or 3 or 4 decades, this Goa will be another Bombay, another Mumbai, another Calcutta. And then who will come here? What for? If that old charm doesn't remain, it will be problematic.
With more than 1 million voters in Goa, contest for these parliamentary seats is beyond political personalities and will be the testing ground for many policies that can balance economic development with environmental conservation. Jessica Taneja for DD India.
Well, Korean Cultural Center will host the All India K-pop Contest 2024 this year. The event is open for Indian citizens, individuals or groups. The finalists of the All India K-pop Contest will be in the spotlight on a stage equipped with a top-of-the-line stage system. They will also get an opportunity to visit Korea. Korean Cultural Center will also further expand its support system to the secondary schools in India to ensure that more students in the country can learn Taekwondo and Korean language in 2024. This year, more than 3,000 students in 47 schools will get Taekwondo training by the trainers of Korean Cultural Center, Delhi.
We announced the whole schedule of the K-pop contest this year today, and we are happy to announce hosting All India K-pop 2024 this year. And we've seen outstanding growth and popularity last few years. And we prepared much more things this year, like venue, upgraded venue, and technical everything.
We arranged this event to strengthen the bond between Korea and India, and we would like to spread the Korean language and Taekwondo nationwide.
Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi assumed command as the 26th Chief of the Indian Naval Staff in the national capital New Delhi on Tuesday. During his career spanning nearly 40 years, the former Vice Chief of Naval Staff held various important operational and staff appointments. He also served as the Flag Officer Commanding-in-Chief of the Western Naval Command. Admiral Tripathi succeeds Admiral R. Hari Kumar. Speaking to the media, the new Navy Chief assured that the Indian Navy will always be ready to protect India's maritime interests.
Over the years, our Navy has evolved into a combat-ready, cohesive, credible, and future-proof force. The existing and emerging challenges in the maritime domain mandate that the Indian Navy should remain operationally ready at all times to deter potential adversaries at sea, in peace, and to win the war at and from the sea when asked to do so. This will remain my singular focus and endeavor.
Dada Saheb Phalke, also known as the father of Indian cinema, was a prominent film director, producer and screenwriter who is credited with making India's first full-length feature film. Phalke displayed great interest in the creative arts. In his honor, the Indian government established the Dada Saheb Phalke Award in 1969 as the highest award for lifetime achievement in Indian cinema. As we observe his birth anniversary, his contribution to Indian cinema remains unparalleled. In observance of Labour Day, several political parties in Sri Lanka are preparing to organize public rallies and processions throughout various cities across the island. The police have announced special traffic arrangements to facilitate the events in several cities. With Labour Day serving as a platform for political discourse and social advocacy, these gatherings are expected to attract significant attention and participation from citizens nationwide. Now, time for sport, and India's T20 World Cup squad is out. Rohit Sharma captains the team with Hardik Pandya as vice captain. Rishabh Pant, Shivam Dube and Sanju Samson have been selected in India's 15-man squad. Yuzi Chahal is also back in the mix with Kuldeep Yadav, Ravindra Jadeja and Akshar Patel in the spin department. Jasprit Bumrah leads the pace attack with Mohammad Siraj and Arshdeep Singh. The squad is like this: Rohit Sharma captain, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Virat Kohli, Surya Kumar Yadav, Rishabh Pant, Sanju Samson, Hardik Pandya, Shivam Dube, Ravindra Jadeja, Akshar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, Yuzi Chahal, Arshdeep Singh, Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj. Reserve players are Shubman Gill, Rinku Singh, Khalil Ahmed and Avesh Khan. India begin their 2024 T20 World Cup campaign against Ireland on June 5th in New York and then play Pakistan, USA and Canada on June 9, 12 and 15 respectively. Well, the 11th edition of the Dubai Food Festival is back as the city has successfully navigated once-in-a-century showers that poured into the emirate last week. The food festival that began on April 19 will continue until May 12, bringing a plethora of culinary adventures with dozens of restaurants all over the emirate participating in the festival. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now.